Hello and welcome to Box, the football talk show brought to you by Sportology TV with myself, Ali Drew. On the last episode, we were joined by TalkSport's Sam Matterface and former Premier League goalkeeper Mark Bosnich, who was talking to us about the tackle from Jordan Pickford on Van Dijk and the crazy season that we are having so far. But on today's episode, first up, we have a presenter from the Villa View and the Athletic, and you will hear on 5 Live Sport. It is Dan Bardell. Dan, welcome to the show. Thanks for joining us. How are you?
I'm good, yeah. It's just a shame that the first time I come on here is off the back of Villa's first defeat of the season. I said to you last week, I said we're bound to lose now, and that's obviously what happened.
Yeah, you predicted it. How is life treating you as a presenter at the moment? Obviously, in 2020, it's been a crazy year. How are things going?
All right, to be honest, yeah, it's lockdown's been good in some ways. I had some things that were going to happen before all the COVID stuff that didn't end up happening because of COVID, but it's been a mixed bag. It's not stopped me doing anything, so in that respect, it's been quite good. But I just want the world to get back to normal, as I'm sure everyone does.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's just as well. Obviously, football took a break, but it's back, even though it's not the same without the crowds. But you are here to talk about Aston Villa, and unfortunately, they had their first loss of the season. 3-0 loss to Leeds. So just talk to me about that game. Obviously, they've been playing great up until that point, all, great performances. But what did you make of that game?
The best team would, to be perfectly honest. We got completely outclassed by Leeds. I've got to say, I didn't get all the hype around Leeds, but I certainly get it now after having watched them for 90 minutes, because I watched them the game before against Wolves and I wasn't overly impressed, but that must have just been a bad day at the office for them, because I've never seen anything like that. Their energy. Villa have obviously played Leeds in the Championship, and I think they beat us at Villa Park and we drew at Ellen Road. But the way they played on Friday night, I've just never seen anything like it. Even their deepest line midfielder would be in the box. They just come forward and swarm you in so many numbers, and Villa just couldn't deal with it. And we've been on good form, as you alluded to, but the first goal was always important. We could have got that first goal. Grealish had a couple of chances. Konsa had one that was saved. But as soon as Leeds got that first goal, there was only going to be one winner, and it felt like we gave up when we went 1-0 down. But full credit to Leeds and Bielsa, because they completely deserve to win, and it's a big lesson for Villa. But the key thing will be how we bounce back on Sunday.
Yeah, because Leeds, obviously, it's their first season back up in the Premier League, so they are doing amazingly. Most clubs, I guess, when they get promoted, as Villa have in the past, their goal is just to not get, to stay up there, to stay, they'll probably be down the bottom, but just not to get relegated again. But Leeds seem to be sort of ignoring those rules, and they're really doing well.
Yeah, I mean, that was obviously Villa's aim last season. When we came up, we just about scraped ourselves to 17th. Luckily, we had a good end to the season in the last 4 games and managed to keep ourselves up. But Leeds will be nowhere near in trouble, I don't think. I just think whoever, they just, the way they play, the way Bielsa has them set up, it doesn't matter if they have injuries, because they had their captain and their vice-captain missing against us. The people that came in just slotted in. They've just got this set way of playing. Everyone knows their job. Everyone's well drilled. Everyone's fitness is incredible. So for them, I just think they'll be near the top 10, pushing for that top half. That they'll be nowhere near in trouble. And at the moment as well, they've got a striker that's absolutely bang on form in Patrick Bamford, someone that I didn't think would make the step up to the Premier League and play the way he has. But again, he just ripped Villa to shreds on Friday, and we've been very good defensively this season, but he just took us apart. Our defence couldn't deal with him. His work rate's incredible. Yeah, Leeds will be nowhere near in trouble. The other 2 that came up there, I think they'll be going straight back down.
Yeah, well, Fulham are not doing. They've got 1 point they've got so far. It's not great. I mean, can they do anything really to turn things around? Then they're not having a great season so far. It is early days, but that they're not doing well.
It's just so difficult for Fulham and West Brom. West Brom in particular haven't spent a lot of money, and I think they've got problems going on behind the scenes with players being sold behind the manager's back that was announced yesterday. So I just think for West Brom and Fulham, it's just going to be a step too far in the Premier League for them, because obviously when we came up last year, we had to spend a lot of money because we only had about 14 or 15 first-team players, and trying to bed those players in, we struggled, probably having more quality than them and having to bring players in. they've had to bring players in, and I just think they've not brought the quality that's needed. It's very difficult to get the quality that's needed. So those two will be going straight back down where they came from. I just can't see that there's anything they can do to get out of trouble. And there is so much quality in the Premier League now. I mean, even Sheffield United, who had a great season last season, they're struggling down there at the moment, but I don't think they'll be anywhere near in trouble. Burnley, I think, who are near the bottom as well, they'll get themselves out of it. So it'll be interesting in the relegation dogfight. I just hope and pray Aston Villa are nowhere near it.
Well, at the moment, Aston Villa are, I think, third in the table with a game in hand around the teams that are around them. So they are doing, very, very well. And what is your sort of prediction for them? Like, do you think that they can continue this good run of form, obviously bar the last match, and sort of stay up that top half of the table? Is that a sort of achievable, realistic target?
Yeah, I think top 10 is achievable. And obviously when you've already got 12 points on the board after 5 games, I mean, it took us 3 months to get to 12 points last season. So already it's been an incredible start. You win your game in hand. I think we go top, albeit that game is away at Man City. We've just got to try and keep the momentum, keep as high as we can going through the season. I mean, how we bounce back on Sunday against Southampton, who are banging form as well, that'll be key. If we get beat again, suddenly you've lost two in a row and you're down in the dumps. So it's important that we take something on Sunday. But I think our first 11 is very, very good. And then we've got 2 or 3 players off the bench who are good as well. But after that, if we were to get injuries, I think we'd be in trouble. So if we can keep everyone fit, I think we'll be pushing towards the top 10 because our first team is very, very strong, as we saw against Liverpool when we took them apart. I mean, we've got some incredible players, Grealish and Barkley on the day are up there with any attacking midfielders in the Premier League. Watkins looks a good signing. Apart from Friday, we're one of the teams that can actually defend and keep clean sheets as well. So there's a lot to be very positive about as a Villa fan, but we've got to keep everyone fit because if we don't, outside the first 13, 14 players, it would be difficult for us, I think.
What do you think Villa need to do differently on Sunday against Southampton? What sort of, differently to how they were against Leeds? What do you think will sort of change it to get that winning form back?
It's always nice to score the first goal. Obviously, that when we went 1-0 down on Friday, that's the first time we've gone behind for about 8 games, I think. So it wasn't something that we've become used to because towards the end of last season and the start of this season, we've been very good and we've gone ahead in pretty much all of our games. I don't think there's been any 0-0 draws or anything in there. So we would have gone ahead for 8 games running. So it was a new experience for us to be behind. And I do worry a little bit because I think like Leeds, Southampton have got a set way of playing. They're very, very good, high energy, well drilled. Again, they've got a manager that's astute and knows what he's doing. And they've got a goal scorer in Ings he just never stops scoring. He never stops running, working. I think the first goal will be important on Sunday. If we go ahead, I'd always back us to win and be solid at the back. But if we go behind and we end up chasing, we could find ourselves in a similar situation to Friday. So I think getting that first goal on Sunday will be vital.
Is there any particular players who have really sort of stepped up and stood out so far? Obviously, early days, only a few games in. But Grealish obviously was the sort of the talk of the transfer window. They've obviously got him back to sign that contract. Do you think that he has stepped up? Obviously, he was performing great last season anyway. But is there any others as well as Grealish, or do you think that he is the sort of main one for Villa?
We've got some very good players, but Grealish is obviously the talisman. I mean, getting him to sign a new contract. If you'd have said to me 6 months ago Grealish would stay at Villa and sign a 5-year deal, I'd have absolutely laughed at you because I'd have just said, there's no way, he's too good for us. He needs to be playing in the Champions League. But he's seen something in the summer, speaking to the owners and the ambition that we can go somewhere. I mean, I'm not saying for 1 minute that we're going to be in the Champions League, but he's seen that there is a plan and that we want to make progress. He's an incredible player. For me, I think he gets into any team in the Premier League. And I know that's might come across as an outrageous thing to say, but I honestly believe he's that good. I've never seen anything like him. So having him on form, and every time I think he can't take it up a level, he manages to find another level that I didn't know he had. So he's obviously the main man, but getting McGinn back, we barely had a fit John McGinn last season. He's a very big player for us. He wasn't the same player when he came back from his injury after lockdown, and he was just getting up to speed, and it didn't really happen for him. So he's a key player. And Ezri Konsa at the back, he goes a bit under the radar, a bit unnoticed, but he's been very, very good for us at the back end of last season and the start of this season. He's a very, very good defender, and his partnership with Mings is a big thing for us. I mean, I'm basically going through the whole team here, but again, the goalkeeper, signing Martinez from Arsenal, is an unbelievable signing. He's one of the best goalkeepers in the Premier League, and I still can't believe that Arsenal let him go so easily. I know that that there was like a good relationship there and that he needed first team football. He wanted to play first team football, but I really think that's an incredible signing. He's so good with his feet as well. He's a big presence and he'll make a massive difference for us because Tom Heaton got injured last season and we must have played about between 10 and 12 goalkeepers in the last 3 or 4 seasons. It's honestly been ridiculous. So to have that settled number one as well is a big thing. So as I said to you earlier, I looked through that first 11 and there's a lot of talent there. And I really, really think keeping everyone fit will have a good season.
Moving on to talking about VAR, everyone's favourite topic.
Oh, yeah.
What is your sort of opinion on it? The recent games, there has been even more sort of, before people were complaining that it was getting ridiculous, that people were getting handballs for stuff they couldn't have done anything about. But it seems like recently it's almost gone wrong. Like it's not really doing the job it should. What's your thoughts on it?
I mean, not going to the games, I don't have as much of an issue with it at the moment. When you're at the games, as obviously I was every week for Villa, it's just awful. You score and you think, oh, I've celebrated there, but there's every chance this is going to get disallowed for someone's toenail being offside or something stupid like that. So I haven't got as much of a problem with it at the moment whilst I'm not going to the games because you can see what's going on the telly. But generally, I think it's been an absolute flop. I mean, you look at the Van Dijk and Pickford stuff last week. I mean, he's nearly taken his leg off, and it's such a rash challenge, and yet they've just chose to do nothing about it. And Van Dijk's out for the rest of the season now. It just doesn't seem right that they can watch that back and say, "Oh, no problem there. That's all fine. Let's carry on with the game." So sometimes I think it's the people in VAR that are the problem rather than the rules that are implemented. The rules in some ways are quite clear, but it seems that the people that are in the VAR booth, it just adds another layer of confusion. You may as well just leave the decision to the referee. There's the inconsistencies where sometimes the ref will go and look at the screen and sometimes that he wasn't. So overall, it just hasn't worked. I think it is needed because I think it can stop some obvious mistakes from happening, but just sometimes the way it's operated and the way people have worked behind the scenes with it, it's just made it a farce. It's very, very up and down.
Because it is, even though it's, they're saying it's to kind of try and clarify, this is handball, this is that, offside, whatever it is. But it is still subjective because there's still people looking at it and deciding, oh yeah, that I can see that, but I'll decide this. So it still is subjective. So there's still going to be arguments continuing.
Yeah, it comes down to the individual at the time's interpretation. So from that point of view, you may as well just leave it to the ref because, like I say, it just adds another layer of confusion with another person trying to make a decision. And you've got the referee that thinks one thing. There was one point where it felt like the VAR officials didn't want to go against the referee last season. I think they've kind of ironed that out now. But there's just been problems with it from day one. And when you're in the ground, it's not great, and they need to do something about it because it can work. The Champions League feels a little bit more clear cut. It doesn't seem as if there's as much controversy around VAR when it's in the Champions League. I think there should just be a blanket VAR throughout the world. I don't know why the Premier League does it one way, the Champions League another. International football. I mean, did we? I don't even think we had VAR, did we? The other way when England were playing.
I don't actually know if we did. Yeah, I don't know.
I feel like it wasn't there. So in the UEFA Nations League, why is there no VAR there? So there's just no consistency with it. I think that it should be blanket. It's either in everything or it's out everything, and they all operate in the same way.
I agree. This season, there has been a lot of goals so far. There's a lot of, it's exciting. There's goals, crazy amounts of goals. 7 goals, 6 goals. Like you just wouldn't have got that before. And do you think that is because there's no crowds? Do you think that the change in obviously having no crowds, no home advantage? Do you think it could be that there's obviously been, the year's been different, there was a break, so there's less, people aren't as fit, people are trying new things. What do you think it is that's causing those goals? And do you like it that there's more goals going on?
Yeah, although every game I watched this weekend seemed to either be 1-0 or 0-0. So
this weekend was the exception.
Yeah, it did subdue a little bit over the weekend. Any game that didn't have goals was the one I was sat there and watching this weekend. I think the lack of crowd does mean that there's less pressure on certain players at times, so it can lead to maybe people taking their eye off the ball and they end up conceding goals for a lack of concentration. Because I actually think in some ways it's helped Villa, for example, because the Villa crowd could be quite hostile at times, even towards their own players. So the players can find themselves under extra pressure, maybe not prepared to make a pass, and people are just prepared to try things more, because if you make a mistake, you haven't got 40, 50,000 people on your back. So I do think that's something to do with it. But I do just think the standard of defending generally is pretty poor. I mean, you look at the money Man City have spent on defenders over the years. I don't think they're in any better shape than they were a few years ago defensively. Liverpool's defending against Villa was absolutely atrocious. I mean, obviously we took advantage of it, but do you know what I mean? They were all over the place at times. I just think the standard of defending is poor, and I do think that is something, to bring it back to Villa, that has set Villa apart, because apart from Friday, we have been able to defend. I mean, David Luiz still plays for Arsenal every week. He's very up and down. So I think just generally, the defending is poor. Man U have not sorted their centre-back issues out for years now. They seem reluctant to buy a centre-half, despite having problems for years. They're still trying to buy forward players. I mean, the elite teams, in the main, they can't really defend. Chelsea the same, although they've solided up the last 2 games, to be fair. So I just think the standard of defending is lower, and I think that's contributing towards there being so many goals.
Before we finish, we always ask people in the sort of football media who they think the greatest footballer that they've ever seen play live is. And so I'm going to ask you that question.
I've seen Messi once at Stamford Bridge. I was lucky enough to go to the semi-final at Stamford Bridge the year that they won the Champions League, and it was literally just like you were watching footballers, and then there was someone controlling a FIFA player. Honestly, it was like nothing I've ever seen before. And he didn't even have a great game that night, but just seeing him on the ball was something else. I've never seen close control like it. So I think probably Messi, just because I'm lucky enough to see him live once, and that's the one that stands out to me off the top of my head that you've asked me. But there's been some incredible players over the years. Obviously, Ronaldo in the Premier League. Dennis Bergkamp was always my favourite player growing up. I just think he just had something about him that I just loved as a kid. I loved number 10s. I loved him and Teddy Sheringham as a kid. They were the type of strikers that I liked growing up. So I think in the Premier League era, I've always said that Bergkamp was my favourite. But yeah, that one game of watching Messi live, he was something else, to be fair.
Yeah, he's definitely one of the greats. Dan, thank you so much for your time. It's been great speaking to you.
No
and
worries.
Good luck for Villa on Sunday. Hope it goes well for you. Thank you.
Thank you. Anytime.
Thank you. Great to be joined in part 1 of this episode of Box to Box by Dan Bardell, who was talking to us everything Aston Villa and the crazy season so far. But now our second guest up is a person who is behind the Spurs blog, Prime Spurs. We are delighted to be joined by Harry Charalambos. Have I pronounced your surname correctly?
Yeah, yes.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Harry, how are you? Welcome to the show.
I'm good, you?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. I'm good. How is life treating you?
Well, lockdown's been a bit interesting. I think the football's the only thing that's keeping me going right now in some ways. I think, yeah.
I know it's good it's back, because obviously we had the break when we were in the first lockdown. So I think, yeah, even though it's not come back the same, obviously no crowds, I think it's just good that sport is back, to be honest.
It's just also because like we can't really go to the football, which is a bit of a shame, but at least we can watch it. At least it's on. At least it's something to do.
Yeah.
And I mean, Spurs are doing all right now, so it's good to go.
Yeah, because you're a season ticket holder, are you, as well?
Yeah.
So how does that work then? Obviously, you can't go to any games. So did you sort of just get a refund for your season ticket? How does that work?
Yeah. So at the end of last season, the games we missed, they refunded us. But for this season, they kind of left it a bit open. So I think if we don't go to any games, they'll probably refund us the whole season.
God.
But then at the same time, they've invited, I don't know if you've heard, last night, there was like 200 members went to watch the game at the Lane.
Right.
So I was invited, but I didn't want to go because COVID.
Yeah, not with
But yeah, so they're doing that sort of thing. But yeah, I mean, Levy wants to get fans into the stadium, but I don't think it's going to happen now, at least. No.
I know. I think it's going to be a while till it's back to normal. But let's talk about Spurs. Obviously, their win last night against Burnley. They played okay. They got the win. That's the important thing. But how do you sort of reflect back on that match?
So I didn't expect it to be easy because Burnley always make it tough. So I wasn't expecting like a pretty 6-1 like United, for example. But we got the job done, really. And I think what was really important also is that, I mean, we kept a clean sheet, but it's mainly the way we played. It was very like a big battle. I'd probably say it's probably the best way to describe it. And I think it was really important once we scored that we just held on. He chucked on Rodon at the end, went 5 at the back, and I was like, yeah, just keep the score, please. Yeah.
Well, what do you make of the sort of partnership between Son and Kane? It's you saw the sort of celebration that they were checking if Kane got the assist.
Yeah.
Just talk to me about that relationship.
So I think we'll go back to what Jose said last night, because he mentioned that with Maurizio they had some sort of partnership before, but I think a change of formation is partly the reason why they're succeeding more now, because Kane's dropping deep and we're playing 4-3-3, and you see Mora and Son making runs sort of on the outside and on the inside, and I think Kane's got more space now, so he's finding Son a lot easier. And also, obviously, over time, they're playing more together. They probably train well together. Yeah, there's probably loads of goals in training and thinking about it. But they have sort of just developed more. And I think when Son came to Spurs, he started off on the left. And then he was kind of moved on the right for a while. Then he played him just off Kane as like a second striker. I think now, because Kane's playing a 4-3-3, he's allowing himself to drop deeper. And then Mora and Bale probably eventually playing in either wing. And then you got Son coming off like the left, but he's come inside, I'd say, a lot more now than he used to. And I think he's just giving Kane a lot more space, and he's finding him a lot more. I mean, the goal last night, though, was pure it was almost telepathic, really, to describe it. Because I didn't expect either of them to win a header, let alone score one.
It was good. Well, you mentioned Gareth Bale there.
Yeah.
What do you sort of make of Gareth Bale? Obviously, we're yet to see him fully, back to sort of playing. He has come on, but he's not sort of cemented his place in the team and what he's going to do for Spurs really. But just talk to me about having Bale there.
All right. So I think it's a bit of a shock in some sense. I never thought he'd come back, but then there was all this talk in the summer saying, "Oh, he can come back on loan, he wants to leave." And the one video that I think turned it for me, thinking that it might actually happen, was he gave an interview to Sky Sports. I don't know if anyone remembers this. I think it was about a month before he signed, and he was saying, "I want to play. I'm stuck at Madrid. I really want to play football." And then we think, maybe it could happen. And then we started negotiations with them, and through some miracle, we actually got him. But I think his impact for the club is huge, for 3 different reasons. One, I mean, he's just a top-class player on his day. 2, I think the club was still in a sort of rut after the Champions League final. I think even in the summer, I think it still affected the squad, and I think gave the whole club a lift. And I think also for keeping Harry Kane, bringing Bale back is massive. Yeah.
Do you think that when he actually gets back playing, do you think that's going to be soon, that he's playing regularly? And also, do you think that he's going to be the sort of, although Spurs had a great start to the season, they have done well, do you think that he could be the difference to push them to the next level?
Yeah, I think it'll take him about 2 to 3 weeks maybe to get to where he wants to be. I don't know if you saw, he was playing Europa League the other week. He'll play this Thursday, I think, for sure. But for him getting into the Premier League side, I think it'll take 2-3 weeks. And then I just think he just needs time. He hasn't played properly for 2 years. He's a lot happier now. I think that's going to be quite important for him. But I don't think we'll see the Bale of 2013 or 2012.
You don't think?
I think
he's
he'll give,
not that level?
I think he might.
I mean, even not being that level, he could still be a very, very good level.
Yeah.
Not quite that good.
But I think now, because we're playing a 4-3-3, I think it suits him a lot more, playing off the right. And I think if he plays Ndombele, Sissoko and Højbjerg like he did last night, because it protects the defence a lot more, I don't think Bale will have to track back as much and let him do a lot more damage up the field. So I think I'll probably, what's the word? like consolidate his lack of defensive covering on that side. If you play that sort of three in the midfield, and I still think he'll do a lot of damage. But I think it's really important for him just to get that first goal.
Yeah.
Even if it's from a free kick or something, just get that first goal. Just put him back in that same mindset. Oh, I can score like loads of goals again.
Yeah, take the pressure, the little pressure of the edge away.
Yeah,
you mentioned the Europa League there. Obviously, great start for them. What are your sort of predictions for Spurs this season in the Europa League?
I think we can win it. But I think a lot depends on who stays fit. If players like Lucas perform, like Bergwijn perform, even Bale, like we mentioned before, I think if they can perform, because they're sort of not the backups, but like squad players, then we can win it. But if one of them gets injured, or we somehow go on a run for the title, if that happens, I think Europa League will kind of go second priority. So, yeah, I think it depends a lot on fitness, rotation, because we're playing so many games in such a short space of time.
Yeah.
A
lot. What do you think of Mourinho as a manager? What do you? He's always, throughout his whole coaching and managing career, he's always sort of divided opinions. Some people really love him, some people hate him. What do you think? And do you think he's the right man for Spurs?
Okay, first of all, just before I start on this, I want to say I don't think I ever thought Mourinho would ever manage Tottenham. So that was a surprise in a sense. I think Gary Neville mentioned it last night as well. He was like, never thought it ever happened. But I think after Maurizio, we kind of needed an experienced manager to come in. Like at the time, I don't know if Ancelotti was mentioned, but I think was he at Everton already? Don't know. But he was another sort of manager we could have taken at the time. I think Mourinho, if you watch his previous interviews a month or two before, he wanted the job. I think that was a big thing. He wanted the job because he liked Dyer, he liked Kane, he liked Ali. So he wanted the job, he got the job. But I think the impact he's had on the squad, he's sort of given them, I wouldn't say a different level. I just think we play the game a different way compared to Pochettino. In Pochettino's early years, we had that high press. Like now, we have plan A, plan B, plan C, plan D. Jose just does it whatever game we're playing. He'll play a different formation. He'll play a different way. Sit deep in some games. Like last night was very different to say the 6-1 in the sense that we played on the break yesterday, but I think we sort of, it was more important that we were solid, at a solid base, because Burnley, and also set pieces as well was really important yesterday. But I think Mourinho has also brought winning mentality to some of the players already. You can see it with Kane and Son as an example. He's transformed Ndombele completely. I actually wanted Ndombele to come a few years ago, but under Poch, he didn't really get as many games. And another important thing I think with Mourinho, I'd say, is that last year he didn't fancy Ndombele, so he took him completely out of the side. I don't think that would have happened under Pochettino. The same with Ali as well. If they're not performing, he won't play them. I think that's another change. I think Pochettino would have probably kept Ali in the team still now, so I think he let him get away with it a lot. With Mourinho, if you're not performing, you're out of the team. If you're performing, you'll play. I think that's the most important thing I think I've seen from him.
Yeah, he's a bit more brutal, isn't he, as a manager, I suppose?
Yeah.
He's a bit more cutthroat.
To be honest, I actually really like his honesty.
Yeah, he's brilliant. In interviews, he really cracks me up because if he's in a bad mood, you know about it. He doesn't put on anything for the cameras.
But he sort of like indirects the referees as well when he does interviews. Like he'll say something for someone, but he'll do it in like a really subtle way.
Yeah, he's
it's like the refereeing decision goes against him. He'll just be like, "Well, the referee, blah 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 blah," but he won't say why.
Yeah,
He'll just say it like a way. Yeah.
Yeah, he
like
is
his
good.
Box office, as they say. And I think in a documentary, you could see what effect he was having on the club and on the players. Like you could tell the massive difference compared to Poch.
Did you love that documentary?
Poch's time was up. Sorry.
Did you like the documentary?
Yeah.
It was good.
I think it was really insightful. Because initially, I wasn't actually going to watch it. But then I was like, I kind of have to check it now.
Yeah.
So I actually joined Amazon Prime on a free trial just to watch the documentary. That was it. So I was like, I cancelled my subscription after that. But I think what was really interesting in the documentary is the fact that, I mean, everyone heard what he said in the change room, calling them names or whatever, saying you can't be nice guys in the game. You're good guys now, but you can't be nice guys in the game. And I think that's made a difference already now. You can see with Kane, he's playing in a different way. He's sort of maybe leaving his foot in a bit more, arguing with the ref a lot more. I think I've seen a lot, yeah. He's sort of just made them want to win more already. And I think part of him, because of he's been tarnished with like certain things, like he's boring football. You know, I don't think it's been boring. I don't know did you see his interview the other week when he was saying, "Oh, a boring team attacking team would have scored 6 or 7 or something, or like 9 or 10."
Yeah.
Yeah. Against United, I was like, that's so Mourinho to say something like that.
His style of managing people, I suppose, it reminds me of the sort of managers of a few sort of decades ago. You know, where they're sort of a bit more. It's no nicey to it. Like you need a winning mindset, and that's it. You know, he's. I feel like he's sort of that generation, rather than being
like Fergie in a sense as well.
Yeah, very much like Alex Ferguson, definitely.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you'd be scared to have a bad game if you had to go off and change it with Alex Ferguson.
Thing is, like, if you're not performing, you must be a really horrible manager to be around, because he'll probably just be in your ear all the time.
Yeah, he wouldn't let you forget it, that's for sure. I also want to ask you about VAR. Obviously, there's been all sorts going on this season. What do you think of it? Do you think that it is taken away from the game?
Well, we've been tarnished with a lot of decisions against us because of VAR. So in that sense, I'm going to be quite biased and be like, yeah, I don't like it. But I think it can work as long as the referees are in control of it. Because right now, when I watch games, I think, oh, VAR decision. It's someone else in like an office somewhere just making a decision. So the ref isn't really the ref. And then you get some decisions where in VAR, the ref will go all the way to check it again. And you're like, well, are you deciding if it's a goal or not? Are you deciding if it's a penalty or not? In regards to Spurs personally, though, one big decision, obviously, which I'm still annoyed about, was the Dyer handball. Now, I don't know if that's VAR that picked it up, that's the issue, or whether it's because, you know, the handball rule. I don't know if you've heard the new one. So if it hits your hand in the box, even if it's not intentional, it's a penalty. It's like, well, really?
Yeah, because we had Gabby Bonahor on, and he said it's literally players, you know, who are deliberately going to be just kicking them at defenders deliberately to try and get the handball, because if they can't do anything about it, then they're just going to get a penalty, and you know that's how it's going to start. They're not even going to really go for goal; they're just going to try and get a handball. That's sort of what it's going to go towards.
So I don't know if you remember the Champions League final with the Liverpool penalty. It was the same sort of situation. Like, you hit the ball, hits Sissoko's hand, penalty. Like, in that sense, though, I think it could have been a penalty because Sissoko's hand was quite high. But if Sissoko's hand was on his side and it hit his hand, like, it wasn't a penalty. But I think referees, I don't know, with VAR, I think it's good because you can review decisions. And sometimes VAR kind of, it gets it right. It doesn't always get it wrong. But when it gets it wrong, it's horrible. But I think what's important is that the referee, when I watch games now, I don't think the referee's sort of in charge. Like, he might, you know, give the foul. You got the linesman with the offside, but even then, VAR checks offsides.
Yeah.
So it's almost like the referee doesn't have to be there, but then he has to be there to control just to control the game. But I don't feel like he's controlling the game if he can't make the final decision.
He's definitely got a lot less power now than they used to.
It's almost like the games we manage from a computer, like FIFA or something. Yeah,
it is a bit. Before we go, I just want to have your predictions. So obviously we're quite early on in the season, but you know, we were sort of 5-6 games in. What are your predictions for the sort of top 4 places and then the teams that you think are going to get relegated?
All right, okay. So I think Liverpool title, and I think City second, Spurs third, and Everton fourth.
Everton doing well. They're having a good season.
Yeah, they're my dark horses for fourth place.
They're doing well.
Relegation? That's interesting. Because I would have put down Villa before the season started, but now
they're right up
no
there.
Way, no way, no way. It's a good question, actually. Who is that? They're not in the league anymore. I'm not sure, actually.
Do you think that some of the teams that obviously got promoted might go back down? Like Fulham obviously aren't having the best start. Leeds are smashing it, doing amazing. So
they're great to watch.
Yeah. Because I thought actually Leeds might struggle. It was a bad season for Leeds to get promoted because they have such a big fan base. So I thought, this is like a bad time for them because they could do with having the crowd, their supporters for when they go up to the sort of top league. But they're proving that that's not the case.
But the great thing with Leeds is that Bielsa's just amazing to watch. I just love watching him. He just seemed on the touchline just ranting or something, or just pissed off at them, and you can just tell in the dressing room he must be just ripping them to shreds.
Yeah, he's another one that doesn't mess about. Another one.
Because Pochettino got his football ideas, well, not all of them, but most of them off him. Because Bielsa managed Poch, obviously years ago, but he based a lot of his high pressing, high octane football on Bielsa, and you can see it sort of now with Leeds because Leeds is becoming everyone's second team. It's like, they're great to watch. It's like they sort of remind me of back in the day with Swansea when they came up, and they were playing great football under who was it? Laudrup, I think. Was it Laudrup? Yeah. So it's the same sort of thing really with Leeds now. Everyone likes them.
Likes them, yeah.
I think Fulham do stand a really good chance of going down though, unless Parker goes because they put a lot of faith in him, but it's not working out at the moment.
Yeah, I think they've got 1 point. I think that's all they've got so far. So not great.
If by Christmas they're still in the relegation zone, I think they'll try and bring in like an experienced manager or something, which is a shame with Parker, but it just happens, I guess. It's football.
Yeah, the managers are very dispensable these days. They don't have long to sort of prove themselves, and if it doesn't work, they're gone.
Like 3 years, I think, it's like the max sort of now. Remember Fergie? He was there for 20 years. It's mad.
Yeah, Wenger was
Wenger 20 years as well.
Yeah, he was a long time.
21 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that would ever happen again.
No.
Even like Mourinho at Tottenham, I think he'll last 3-4 years maybe.
It'll change.
Yeah.
All change. Well, Harry, thank you so much for joining us on the show. It's been great speaking to you. And hopefully, as the season goes along, we can get you back on and have some more talk about Spurs.
Yeah, nice speaking to you. Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.
Hope you enjoyed that episode of Box to Box, brought to you by Sportology TV. We have lots more coming up, lots more shows planned. So guys, make sure you stay tuned. Subscribe to our channel. We need all the help we can to keep these shows coming to you. Make sure you leave us some comments so we know your opinions, and we will see you next time.